Right off the bat, I want to thank Mode for sending me the beautiful keyboard you just watched me build. I also want to note right away that they are not paying me to make this review, they do not get to see this video before release, and that this unit is a pre-production unit that I'll be sending back to them. With that out of the way, and before the suite of sound tests I have for you today, I want to talk a little bit about the build process. If this is the first of my videos you're watching, I might recommend going back to watch my review of the 2020 version of the Mode 80. The reason being, all the things I love about the 2020 version are also true of the 2022 version, with some extra refinements on top of all of that. And in this video, I mostly want to focus on those refinements and the build process. As you just saw in the montage at the beginning, the build process for this board is largely unchanged from the version, with two notable distinctions and one slightly more subtle one. The first major distinction, and what is really the biggest upgrade to this version over the first one, is that you now get to pick your mounting system. You can either have Mode's stack mount or the isolated top mount that they first introduced with the 65. The isolated top mount here is largely the same as what you'll find on the 65. My only nitpick with it, and you might be able to hear this in the sound tests, I know I can, is that the spacebar doesn't have a screw point anywhere near it, and is really soft as a result, particularly with the half plate build I'll be showing. The 65 has one much closer to the spacebar, which I found is my preference. However, it's just that, preference. If I've learned one thing about myself from this board, it's that I prefer a medium firm to very firm typing experience, like what the stack mount provides over a bouncy soft one. I can see why people like the bounce and flex, but it doesn't seem to be my personal taste. That being said, I may have a video coming in the not too distant future for a personal build that has a half plate, so subscribe if you want to see that when it comes out. I'll be excited to try it again, and on a smaller board form factor to see if I like it there. While we're talking about mounting, I want to mention the more subtle change, which is that the pour-on foam base for stack mount no longer covers the top and bottom row of the PCB as it did in the version. I'm not sure if this is why, but I did notice that in stack mount, this version does have a much fuller, deeper sound than my version does, in my opinion. It doesn't seem to change much about the feel, and it might not be what's making the difference in that sound, so again, it's a pretty minor thing. The second big change with this board, or what I think is big, especially when it comes to the buildability of this keyboard, is the JST connector. Yes, really. On the version of the Mode 80, the JST connector pointed straight out of the PCB and was scary tight. Like, the first time I tried to unplug it, I actually asked in the Discord if it might be stuck levels of tight. On the 2022 version of the 80, the JST connector and cable are the same as what is found on the 65, which means it both lays flat on the board and is much easier to remove. Huge improvement for new builders and veterans alike, in my opinion. As long as we're talking about the PCB, it is worth mentioning quickly the biggest exterior change to the keyboard, which is that the USB-C port is now centered on the back. This wasn't a particularly big deal for me personally, but a number of people I've spoken to about it seem quite excited. When it comes down to it, this really is the Mode 80 I know and love from 2020, just brought up to speed for 2022. On that note, I do believe it's sound test time, which is the reason you all watch these videos anyway. Trust me, I know I look at my analytics. As I mentioned, I have a large suite of sound tests for you this time. I built and rebuilt the 2022 unit here 3 times on the same day to get all these tests so I wouldn't need to move any of my recording equipment. That way the tests are all identically set up and these are actually useful comparisons. I've grouped the sound tests into 5 short segments. The first segment is comparing the 2020 and the 2022 version. The second is comparing the mounting styles on the 2022 version. The third segment is comparing the plates that I got, being the FR4 full plate and the aluminum half plate. The fourth segment is stepping through all the configurations I ended up with for this video, changing just one variable at a time so you can hear all of them. And the fifth and final segment is just the modifier keys stepped through in the same order as the fourth segment, changing just one variable at a time. Full information about each build will be on screen with each test so you can see it there. But do note the one constant in these tests is that they are all using the same set of GMK white on black keycaps. That never changes. Before we get into the sound tests, I want to thank Mode one more time for letting me review this update to my beloved 80 before its release, and thank all of you for watching this video. It's a really different style for me, so drop a like if you enjoyed it, and please leave a comment if you have any questions or feedback for me. I read all of them and really appreciate your support. Thanks for watching.